And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Grand Center as we are ready to get underway here in the 2017 Averett University volleyball team's home opener. My name is Davin Wilson, former Assistant Sports Information Director. I'm joined by Lindsay Fulcher right now, and later on we will be joined by Eddie Glenn. We will be rotating tonight. And before the national anthem, we're going to get a couple of quick bits of information in. First off, Averett, Lindsay, as you know, last year just had an absolutely dominant season, winning the regular season championship, and they continued their ways over the weekend at the 23rd Annual Cougar Classic, sweeping Randolph College, Southern Virginia University, Roanoke College, and Guilford College to start the season on a 12-game, 12-set win streak. And we're going to take a quick pause for the national anthem. Well, actually, it looks like, Lindsay, it looks like we're just starting off with the lineups here. So, and we are going to take a break for a national anthem. And ladies and gentlemen, we're back. We're going to turn it over to Lindsay Fulcher for a moment. She's got some fun tidbits for you. Lindsay?
Well, Davin, actually Averett is already racking up USA South Conference weekly honors, with sophomore Brianna Williams picking up USA South Conference Player of the Week award. Mackenzie Miller picked up Rookie of the Week honors. And the last time these two teams met right here, it was the Marlins prevailing in a 3-2 squeaker last season. Averett is 4-6 the last 10 meetings between the two sides, and the Marlins came into this contest sporting a 3-1 record. Brooke Aaron is a younger sister of AU volleyball standout and former assistant coach Paige Aaron. Paige actually coached her younger sister last year at Chatham High School in Chatham, Virginia, where she is currently a teacher and head volleyball coach.
And Lindsay, thank you for that. And now we're going to take a quick rundown of the starters for each team, or at least the starters for Averett, as we were unable to get the starting lineup for the Marlins in time before the broadcast. For the Cougars, leading off is going to be number 2, Emily Stanley, the junior out of Sanford, North Carolina. She will be backed up by standout number 3, senior Hannah Shields. Hannah Shields, the Keeling, Virginia product out of Dan River High School. And then coming in the third spot is Christiana Suma out of Poxwan, Virginia. Then we're going to have freshman number 10, Brooke Aaron, outside hitter. And out of Danville, Virginia, as Lindsay was just talking about, was coached by her older sister, Paige. Then number 17, Brianna Williams, will get the next starting spot. She will be followed by number 18, Madison Dades. And then number 22, Keenan Marks out of Jacksonville, North Carolina. Lindsay, Danny Miller in his 23rd season, and he is going to be assisted this year by Annie Day Lloyd and Matt Stoltz. So, Lindsay, as we were talking about just a second ago, Averett really coming off a very hot start to the weekend, facing 4 relatively good squads here. We're going to take a look at some impact players for both squads. First off is Brianna Williams, who actually won USA South Player of the Week awards yesterday. She also picked up the 23rd Annual Cougar Classic MVP Award. She averaged 2.25 kills a set, had a .548 hitting percentage, and averaged 1 block per set. Also against Randolph, she tallied 11 kills, 5 blocks, and 4 digs. And then, of course, Mackenzie Miller, the daughter of head coach Danny Miller, started off her career in high fashion, averaging 4.5 assists to go along with 1.42 digs and a service ace per set. Also, Miller, her big game came against Guilford, where she tallied 17 assists, 5 digs, and 1 kill. And when Averett's on offense, Lindsay, watch out for Hannah Shields, Brianna Williams, Sarah Smoot, freshman Brooke Aaron, and then also Keenan Marks. When they are on defense, watch out for Hannah Shields and Emily Stanley, who lead the team in digs. And then you've got to be on the lookout for Keenan Marks. Also, Mackenzie Miller on the defensive end of things. And then you've got Dadez as she comes in leading the squad with 13 blocks. When Virginia Wesleyan is on offense, you have Donisha Hall to watch out for, Christina Scott, Elizabeth Britton, Emily Pearson, Megan Wood, and Pearson and Amber, Matalis. And then Allison Mackley and Pearson. And, of course, Matalis, you got to watch out on defense. So, Lindsay, we are just a few minutes away from getting this started. Going to get the scoreboard at home switched over for you guys. And there we go, ladies and gentlemen. It's a little bit like riding a bike. You never really forget, but you do get a little rusty sometimes. So having to brush up my skills here. And it's going to be Averett starting on the service. We're going to have number 22, Marks, back. Marks a danger when she's back on the service line. She's also a danger spreading the ball out, leading the team right now in assists. And here's her first serve of the game, and that's going to be a service error right into the net. And Lindsay, perhaps a little nerve starting off here early on. So Virginia Wesleyan, one of the premier teams in the nation, really good in any sport. Their softball team did win the national championship back in the spring. Ball is over. Shields, Marks with the set. Shields on the attack. Shields pushes it over. Nice dive by Matalis. Stanley, Marks with the set. And that is going to be number 10, Brooke Aaron, getting in on the action. So Lindsay, Brooke Aaron, really a standout player. She's got volleyball in her blood. Her older sister Paige, was a 4-year standout over here at Averett. She would later go on to coach with Danny Miller as a graduate assistant. And then I believe for the past 3 or 4 years, she has been over at Chatham High School coaching the volleyball team over there and has done a terrific job. And right now, Virginia Wesleyan with a 2-1 lead over the Cougars. We've got a quick substitution, and it's going to be Megan Wood coming in for Christina Scott. Wood, the sophomore setter out of Herndon, Virginia, went to Oakton High School. Oakton, always a traditional powerhouse in high school sports, as are most teams in the Northern Virginia area. And that is Smoot. And a little confusion from Wesleyan. Matalis will get the ball rolling. Wesleyan gets it over the net. And we're going to have an error on the play, and that's going to give Wesleyan a early 3-1 lead. And Lindsay, you can always get a pretty good read on how impressed Danny Miller is with his team by looking at him on the bench and reading his body language. And he's not looking like the happiest camper in the world right now. And that is Aaron getting over, but nice defensive play by Scott. And Averett able to keep the ball alive. I believe that was Shields. And it's number 7, Britton. Marks with a little over ball. Nice defense from the Marlins. Libero number 17, McCallie. And that's going to be number 18, Dadez. Marks. And nice play there by Suma. Shields to Marks. Marks back over to Aaron. Nice block at the net by Dare Wright, number 4. And Wright with the set, and we've got a ping pong match going on right now. Marks over to Suma. Suma hammers it home. Marlins defense ready for it. And That is going to be Dadez picking up the point. Dadez. And that's going to be Dadez picking up the point for the Cougars. Libero Emily Stanley back to serve. Stanley with the ball over, and that's going to be Libero Mackley. She tries to get it over to Wood. Wood unable to push it over, and Lindsay, we've got a tie ball game on our hands here at 3-all. And so Stanley back to serve again. Let's see what she can get going. Stanley pushes it over. Nice play there. There's the set by Wood. And I believe that was Dare Wright out of South Hill, Virginia, not too far from Danville, about a 45 minutes, hour and a half drive up the road. Not too far from Virginia Beach either, right up there on 360. The ball's pushed over. Shields, marks, and Aaron again, but that's going to be number 3, Donisha Hall, the dominant junior out of Quantico, Virginia. She comes up and says, "You're not going to get that one past me." And Wesleyan has now matched its biggest lead of the night at 2 at 5-3. So it's going to be number 7, Britton, back to serve. Britton gets it over to Shields. Shields to Marks. Marks over to Aaron. Aaron pushes it over. Nice play there by Wood. And that's going to be number 15, Bologna. And Suma, and she's going to get hit with the attack error. And no, actually, they're going to say the ball stayed in bounds. And it's a 5-4 ball game now. And so we're going to have number 5, I believe that is Mackenzie Miller, coming into the game for the Cougars. She will come in for Aaron. And it looks like Miller will go straight back and serve. Miller coming in at 5'10". She is a freshman. She had a dominant weekend. She is the USA South Rookie of the Year, or Rookie of the Week, excuse me. And so we're going to have number 1 here, Alyssa Taylor, coming into the game for the Marlins. And it looks like it's going to be number 7, Britton, back to serve. She will get the ball over to Shields. Shields, and that is Smoot. Shields, Miller. And that's going to be an error on the Cougars as Brianna Williams sent it into the net. It's a 7-4 contest. So Virginia Wesleyan trying to establish a little space here early on. And that's going to be number 7, Britton, with her serve going into the net. So we're going to see number 6 now, Christiana Suma, coming into the game. Back to serve for the Cougars. Suma, one of 7 seniors on this team this year for the Cougars. Mackley. And Stanley and Williams unable to hook up. And I think Averett right now maybe trying to force the issue a little bit too much. Just need to calm down and play their game. Christina Scott coming into the game for the Marlins. And it looks like it's going to be Pearson back on the line to serve for the Marlins. Her serve is over to Stanley. Stanley to Miller. Miller to Williams. Hall. There's the set by the Marlins, and Williams is there to meet it, but unable to push it back over. And she's unable to handle the attack by Scott. And it's now a 9-5 game as the Marlins have now pulled ahead by their largest margin of the night so far. Shields to Miller. And that is going to be number 9, Corer. Miller to Williams, and she is met by Hall. And Lindsay, we were talking about before the game how Hall she's a big impact player for the Marlins. She comes in here, leads the team with 40 kills, averaging 10 a match. And then also she is a danger on the defensive end of the ball as well. So we'll see if Averett can contain her. Stanley to Miller. Shields up and over, and Shields is going to split the defense for an easy point. As she split Taylor and Mackley with the serve.
No surprise with Shields with that kill, as she currently leads the team with 55 on the season. Shields also holds the record at Averett University with over 2,000 kills.
And she has definitely had a Hall of Fame career. Great young lady, and I remember when I first started here, Lindsay, she came in as a freshman, and remember she came in at 18 years old, and it's hard to believe she is graduating this year. Meanwhile, Williams' serve goes out of bounds. So we're going to have number 7, Britton, stepping up now. Actually, excuse me, it's number 17, Libero Mackley serving. Over to Suma. Shields drops one in there. And Lindsay, they don't all have to be Rockets, do they? So 11-8 is now your score. It looks like Marks is in the game. And it looks like Datas is back in the game as well. So Dadez back in the game here.
Marks with the serve over.
And so Marks is going to step back to the line now, and she will serve. Virginia Wesleyan on the defensive end of things right now. Ball pushed over, and Stanley unable to handle it. And that's going to go out, and it's now a 12-9 game. Dare Wright into the game for the Marlins. So about halfway through this first set. And that serve is out of bounds. And the score is now 12-10 in favor of the Cougars. We will have Sarah Smoot back into the game for Averett. Smoot, another senior for the Cougars, playing in her last season. Shields with the serve. Averett with some nice defense. Wesleyan ready for it, though. Stanley to Marks. Marks over to Smoot. Nice defensive play by the Marlins. Ball pushed over. And Dadez is going to get the point. And it's now 12-10, so Averett, after finding itself down by as many as 4, has managed to find some life and has now cut its deficit down to 1. Shields, there's the set from number 17, Mackley. Stanley to Marks. Marks setting. Smooth. And that is over for a point. Game is tied at 12.
Tied game, and no nerves from Hannah Shields on the line. As it's over, Wesleyan handling it, but Marks with the dig. Stanley and to Smoot. Back over to Averett. Hannah Shields with it over. Wesleyan ready as they handle it and get it back over. Dig from Marks to Stanley to Brooke Aaron with the point. The Cougars now in the lead, 13-12. And you see Coach Danny Miller not worried at all, as he knew his team would come back with the resilience that they've always had.
And that's right, Lindsay, they do. That's a trademark of this Averett team, and it has forced Virginia Wesleyan into taking a timeout. Sorry about the technical difficulties we were experiencing there just a second ago with the screen. We had a little bit of blackout action going on, and right now, Lindsay, Averett, as you mentioned, they're on a 4-0 run right now, as they've been able to come back and actually take the lead after it looked like Wesleyan might be running away a little bit with this first set. They got their lead to as many as 5, but they're able to get it back and actually end up flipping it around and taking a 1-point lead. So we'll see what they can do moving forward here. And so it's going to be Shields back on the serve for your Cougars. we'd like to thank you for joining us here on the Averett Sports Network tonight. We know you could have been a whole lot of other places, but you chose to be here with us, and we appreciate it. Shields, and you know what? Metalis not able to handle Shields' serve, so another service ace for Shields. And that's a 14-12 Averett lead as we are nearing the midway point. Actually, already at the midway point. Shields back to serve. And that is going to be number 17, Mackley. And number 10, Scott, comes up big. Scott, the 5'11" junior out of Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania. Long way away from home. 14-13 is now your score. Cougars still out in front. It's going to be number 8, Megan Wood, with the serve. Marks to Dez. And that one will fall in, and it's now a 15-13 Averett lead. Brianna Williams comes back into the game for Dez. Stanley back to serve. Let's see what she's got, trying to push this Averett lead out to 3. And that's exactly what she'll do, as it is number 18, Metalis, unable to handle that serve from Stanley. And we've got a 16-13 set on our hands. So Stanley with the ball over. And I think that is going to be a ball handling error on the Marlins. And the Marlins are going to take a timeout. That is their second in the last couple minutes, actually, is right now the Marlins just looking for a way to try to slow down this Averett attack. Really slow down this Averett team in general, as Averett is really on a roll right now, and they have outscored the Marlins 7-1, Lindsay, or excuse me, 6-1 since Virginia Wesleyan took the 13-9 advantage.
Averett's definitely on a roll this season, not losing a single set here in the 2017 season, and I know that they're trying to make that a record, not trying to stop that now, as they're pushing hard here, 13-17. Stanley back on the line to serve. Very calm and collected. And the serve is over. Wesleyan handling it well. Hannah Shields with the dig to Keenan Marks. And Brooke Aaron with the kill. The score now 13-18. Stanley serving again. Nice block from the Cougars. And the dig from Stanley to Marks to Williams with the kill. Stanley advancing the Cougars lead by 6 now. And it is over again. Just gets past as Wesleyan gets the point. Elizabeth Britton up to serve for the Marlins. And it is over to Shields, Marks, Williams. Back over on the Cougar side, unable to get it. Shields, Marks, and Smoot over there on the left side. With the kill, bringing the score to 15-20. Averett in the lead. Marks leaves the game as Coyer comes in. Miller comes in for Christiana Suma. And the ball is over by Miller. Miller with the dig to Stanley to Shields. Cougars quick on their feet. Smoot unable to get that ball over. The point goes to the Marlins. 16-20. Number 1, Alyssa Taylor, now serving for Virginia Wesleyan. And the serve is over to Shields, to Miller, and to Smoot. Nice hard hit there, Davin. The Cougars pushing. Score now 16-21. Suma on the line now. Suma always been a great volleyball player. Cougars unable to get that one back over as the point goes to Virginia Wesleyan. To Stanley, to Miller, and to Williams. Blocked by the Marlins. And they push to 18.
Lindsay, Virginia Wesleyan doing a good job right now playing defense.
Courier with the hit over. Miller to Shields. Shields with the kill. 18-22 as Averett strives for 3 more. Brianna Williams up on the line to serve. Stanley comes out as Miller enters the game. Quick hands from Dedez. Williams to Miller to Shields with another kill. We're clearly not exaggerating that Shields is quite the talent out here.
She is, and really Hall of Famer already, and she hasn't even left Averett yet.
Humble athlete as well.
And terrific all-around person as well. Comes from a great family.
Suma with the dig and a tip over in the middle of the court by Miller.
You know, Lindsay Shields, the Shields family has a very long history over here at Averett.
Absolutely. Match point here.
And so that's going to wrap up set number 1 as Averett come from behind victory. They outscore Wesleyan 16-5 over the middle of the set to claim a 25-18 victory. We're going to take about a 3-minute break here on the Averett Sports Network, but when we come back, we will have the action from the second set here on the Averett Sports Network. Mr. Glenn. And I will not forget your last name again. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here to the Grant Center at Averett University's North Campus here in Danville, Virginia. Actually, we really never went anywhere, as we are trying to finalize some Team Averett sponsors now before we can get you commercials. So it's Averett a 25-18 winner in the first set, looking to build a early two-set lead here. And I'm joined by Eddie, Glenn.
And Davin, thank you. It's always fun to join you on the broadcast. I was sitting there watching the first set, and Averett was back on its heels for the first couple of points, but able to really put on a showcase there towards the end. As you said, I think they went 16-5 over the middle course of that set and really put on a point showcase and really racked them up and brought in the win for the first set for their 13th straight set win.
Well, they're going to be a tough team this year. We knew that from the get. They returned 6 players from last year's team that really did a terrific job. Really came out and really competed well, and they just had a little bit of misfortune in the conference tournament as they eventually fell to the Angels, and that is Sarah Smoot coming through with a big point for the Cougars. And it is now a 2-2 ball game. Of course, Eddie, Virginia Wesleyan, always a powerhouse in the ODAC. Really powerhouse in any sport.
And I was going to mention, Davin, that most teams for the first regular season game or match of the year, most teams go for some people call it a cupcake game or a practice game to get their women warmed up, but both teams picking good competition for the opener.
Well, and Danny Miller is not one to shy away, and the point will go to the Cougars as the Marlins unable to get the ball back over the net. And Danny Miller, not as we were talking about, not one to shy away from competition early in the season. They always usually will go up to Northern Virginia to take on your Shenandoahs and your Marymounts and your Christopher Newports and your Virginia Wesleyans. And Williams says, freight train coming through your house. And it's now a 4-2 game in favor of the Cougars. If you've been watching this broadcast for a while, you know that is my tagline. I love it.
And really no chance for the Wesleyan defense to get anywhere close to stopping that ball from hitting the court.
Well, Williams went Space Jam right there on us and just hammered that ball home. Well, I guess my Space Jam reference might be a little outdated since that was, I guess we'll just say Thor since all the comic book movies. So Stanley back to serve for the Cougars. Like to thank Lindsay Fulcher for joining us earlier. She will be back on the next set.
And just a few things on Brianna Williams as she gets another point here. She against Randolph, she had 11 kills, 5 blocks, and 4 digs. And she's not holding back this match neither.
No, she's not, and she's really been very hot for this Cougar team. She really had a big part to do with the team's success last year, as it was really her first year, too, coming out of Manassas, and she really does a great job. She comes into this meeting averaging 2.25 kills, .548 hitting percentage, and then 1 block per set. And then Eddie, as you mentioned, 11 kills, 5 blocks, and 4 digs against the Wildcats.
And on the defensive end, she is actually second on the squad with 12 blocks, right behind Maddie Dedez, who has 13 blocks. So she is no slouch on the defensive end either.
She isn't. And, a lot of these Averett players, that's the way they're built. They're built to be big on being able to go up and get some kills and provide some attacks and then really sit back and play a lot of D, too. And that's why Danny McMiller. That's why Danny Miller has had the success that he has had so far. So Stanley gets her serve over libero Rakely for the Marlins, and that is going to be number 10, Christina Scott, coming up with a big point for the Marlins coming out of the timeout. That will get her side within 3. As Lindsay mentioned, the Cougars 13-set win streak right now. Shields over to Marks. And believe That was Aaron over there. Aaron is at the net. Williams, and Williams is going to get it past Rakely. Mackley. And Eddie, I had something clever to say for Rakely, but that just all went away.
And Davin Williams looks like she went and picked up Thor's hammer and put it on her wrist. This game, she's not holding back. She's absolutely putting power behind all of these shots here.
She did, and so that's Mackley right there. The setup. There's the overball. Stanley over to Miller. Smoot. There's the set by Pearson. The attack by Bologna. And that is Courier, I believe, down there. No, Steelman, for the Cougars.
Miller over to Lee, or Stanley, Smoot able to tap it over. And that was good back and forth from each team. Score sits 7-4 in favor of Averett so far. First set, they were on their heels early. This set, they got off to an amazing start. They went 6-2 early, and then Wesleyan has been on a 2-1 run so far, looking to improve upon that. That is a good save from Shields over to Miller. Smoot. And that's good defense from the Marlins.
And so Averett right now, as you were saying, Eddie, they start off very hot, but they are kind of on the reel right now by the Marlins. Pun completely attended there, Eddie. So that ball is pushed over by Quarter.
And Davin, you mentioned it earlier. In the first set, every point does not have to be a rocket ball.
It doesn't.
Some of the best points come from little tip-taps over, the softest touches, the catches the defense really off guard.
To use a term for baseball, it's almost like C&I hits. So that is going to be Suma, I believe, back at the line. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry, I'm getting old up here in the bleachers, and that is going to actually fall in for the Marlins, and it's now an 8-5 game. So number 7, Mackley, back to serve. That ball is going to get over. And Shields, and it's Shields' turn to say freight train coming to your house. And it is now a 9-6 game. As she puts another hammer into the board there. And Eddie, when Hannah Shields gets a hold of one, I feel sorry for the floor.
And Davin, if you give me some time, I promise I'll come up with a catchphrase as cool as a freight train to your house.
Well,
not that cool yet, but I'll get there.
It takes time, Eddie. You know, I try to tell everybody all the time that, you know, I'm kind of a big deal around here, and I'm just joking. That was a humble brag.
Score now 10-7.
No, Eddie, I can't take full credit for that one. I heard Sports Information Director Drew Wilson say it one time, and I kind of just ran with it. But I kind of try to throw a different variation on it, so I'm not plagiarizing.
That's Shields over to Miller. Miller. And the Marlins tip-tap action. And it falls in to bring them within 2.
So Eddie, Marlins really right now, they've got their hooks into the Cougars, and they made it a 2-point game. So Miller over to Shields. Shields pushes that one over. That is Hall. And Hall back. Averett better watch out, and they're unable to corral in the ball. And the Marlins have now used a 3-0 run to get within 1 here. As we're moving midway through the second set. Shields to Miller. And that's going to be Dedez. And I believe we had to apologize last year to Dedez's family for mispronouncing her name quite a bit, but thanks to my main man Eddie over here, we got that taken care of. So
Score sits 11-9. Marlins trail by 2. It's going to be Shields loading up. Marlins able to save it. And Marlins get the point.
11-10 ball game now, Eddie.
And that brings them within 1. Like I said, they were down by 4 to start the set early, and they've really been able to not hang their heads low and not get down about it, and again brought the match within 1.
So Pearson back to serve. Shields to Marks.
And that is Dedez trying to bring it into your dinner table there, but lands out of bounds.
It's a little unfortunate there was Dedez. And so Marks, and that was Aaron. There's a set over to Hall, and Marlins push back ahead, 12-11. So, Eddie, a lot of back and forth right now, as we were talking about earlier, was Averett getting its back against the wall in the first set, coming back, and now the Marlins have come back as well.
And, Davin, there's no clear, as Averett ties the set back up, there's no clear leader in this game. Both teams, like you said, pushing back and forth within each set. No big runs. I think the most, like you said, is up by 4 by either team. So no clear, straightforward leader from either team.
And that's it right now. And that's going to be a ball handling error, I believe. And that will put the Cougars back in front by point at 13-12. And it's going to be Shields back on the line again. So that's going to be number 9, Pearson, Hall, Shields, Marks, Dedez, and Mackley, and number 10, Scott, Marks, Smoot, and Smoot's return goes into the net. And, Eddie, we got a tie ball game again, and it's going to be number 15, Bologna, coming into the game again for the Marlins. Hall, and Hall's serve has a little bit too much juice on it, and it's going to be 14-13 in favor of the Cougars. So Stanley back to serve now. See what she's got. And Stanley has a little bit too much on that, Eddie.
Definitely, and she sends it far and deep into the deep end, just a little bit too far and too deep. And just want to take a second to mention each coach. Danny Miller in his 23rd season here at Averett. Really, longevity has been able to help him build somewhat of a dynasty here at Averett, as the Marlins will pick up another point. And then for the Marlins, Andrea Hoover-Erbig in her 12th season. So a little bit over half the experience coaching at the with the Marlins that Miller has had with the Cougars. So, and she's no slouch herself. Again, the Cougars are 4-6 in the last 10 seasons against Virginia Wesleyan. So it's it's pretty even. Only a two-game difference there for the Marlins.
And really, Eddie, Averett has really dominated. Well, not dominated, but they've done a lot better, really, in the last 3 years than what their record would indicate. And also, we were talking about Danny Miller, inducted into the USA South Conference Hall of Fame back earlier in this summer.
And Daphne's not done coaching.
No, he's not. And I believe the last time I checked, he was third. He was the third winningest active coach in NCAA Division III volleyball history. And actually, another fun fact, the winningest coach is actually Candace Schramm, who is the coach over at Averett's USA South nemesis, Maryville. Smoot.
That's excellence in USAC volleyball right there.
It really is, and both of those two teams always. And Virginia Wesleyan is going to take its biggest lead of the set at 16-14. And right now the Marlins are getting a little bit hyped up down there. Averett looking to take some of the wind out of the sails. And so it's going to be Miller and Courier coming back into the game for your Cougars, who now only trail by 1, 16-15.
This will be Miller back to serve for the Cougars. Again, 16-15 in favor of the Marlins. Marlins return the ball. Great defense by the Cougars, but point will be given to the Marlins. And that pushes their lead again back up by 2, so 17-15 for Virginia Wesleyan. And this will be number 8, Megan Wood, back for the Marlins, going to send it over, try and increase that lead and get them a set victory. This will be Shields on the ball, over to Miller. Miller to Smoot. Smoot couldn't get it past that good Marlins defense. 18-15 now. Marlins starting to pull away, increasing on their biggest lead of the set. This is Wood again. Over to Shields. Shields to Miller. Miller to Courier. And Marlins another point. 4th straight point. 19-15 forces Cougars into a timeout situation. And Davin, the Marlins are on an absolute roll right now.
They are, and right now, I think that's why Danny Miller, has obviously whistled this timeout, trying to just kind of calm down his team a little bit and get them to, just slow things down and realize that, they don't have to get it all back at once, and that they can't compete against this team, as they already know, is they are up 1-0 right now. So,
and Davin, a lot of times with sports, timeouts are used for strategical differences, but sometimes a timeout can only be used to get your team back in the game. A lot of the times players get down and they get lost in the action. They get lost in like a team like the Marlins here. They've got a 4-point lead now, and Averett's trying to bounce back, and sometimes you just need that timeout to get a quick breather, squirt of water, and you get back on the court.
That's it, and let's see if it pays off for the Cougars. Miller, Williams, nice play by the Marlins, as it was number 15, Bologna, trying to get there.
And the timeout will prove effective, at least in the immediate sense. 19-16 in favor of Virginia Wesleyan. This is the Marlins going to send it back. And another point for Averett.
I believe that was a ball handling error, Eddie.
19-17. And this is going to be Jordan Minton, the senior out of Harrisburg, North Carolina. She went to Hickory Ridge High School. Up to serve for the Cougars. This Wood. Averett just couldn't corral the ball on defense.
And 2017 is now the score. So we're getting late here in the set. Number 17, Mackley with the serve. Miller over to number 12, Abby Taylor. Hall, Stanley, Miller, Mackley, Stanley, Miller again, and Miller's tip backwards, not received by Shields. And it's now 21-17, and Averett is in danger of having their 13-set win streak snap.
And Davin, I was just going to mention it. In 23 years of coaching, I'm sure having an undefeated set record does not matter to Danny Miller as long as he gets the win overall. But you've got to think it'll mean something to these Cougars to finally lose their first set of the year. Maybe it'll give them that boost, that motivation that they need if they are to lose this set.
And I was going to say, we've still got a lot of time here, and a lot of things can happen. Williams back to serve as the Cougars are facing a 4-point deficit, matches their largest deficit of the match, and make it 5 now, as that is going to be number 18, Matalas, the sophomore from Colorado. Stanley into the game on the libero switch.
And Davin, on the other end, you've got to think, as we were mentioning, that undefeated set record, for the Marlins, that would be a huge morale boost to be able to come in and break Averett's undefeated set streak. And that'll give them a huge boost into that third set. 23-18 is the score. Marlins up. Miller over to Abby. Now with Shields returning.
One too many touches on the ball. And it's now 23-19.
Brooke Aaron and Keenan Marks in for the Cougars now. And again, the Cougars trail by 4, 23-19. This will be Marks back to serve. It's over to Wood. Good return there. Marks over to Shields. Shields with the rocket ball.
Shields went opposite court right there on that one.
Yes, she did, and it was close. At least from the eye over here, it was close. That will send the Marlins into a timeout situation. Sorry about that, Davin.
Well, Shields has an absolute scud missile for an arm, and she can really just drill those in. And we're looking at a 3-point game right now, or 3-point set. And so we'll see how the rest of it goes. And like I said, we've got a 3-point game right now, 3-point set. Both teams kind of talking it out right now, trying to figure some things out, trying to get some things going. For Virginia Wesleyan, they're hoping to avoid going down 2-0. And
hard to bounce back from a 2-0 set score. As we all know, like the NBA Finals, if you're down 3-0, it's really hard to come back another four wins straight and win that trophy. So down 2-0 makes it really hard for the Marlins to come back. Definitely not impossible, just makes things a tad bit more difficult. And this is going to be Marks on the serve. Marlins, good defense there from Averett. And Hannah Shields, again, sending it into the court. Almost tearing the wood on the court to pieces there.
Well, she does, and I tell you one thing, I would hate to have to try to defend that serve. Is really Hannah Shields brings the Nolan Ryan Express every time she gets her hand on the ball. But she's also got the touch of a crook, too. She's got a very light touch. By no means am I implying that Hannah Shields commits any criminal activity, just saying that she's got a very soft touch. And ball goes out. Virginia Wesleyan now at set point, 24-21.
1 point away from sending this match to 1-1 in set score.
So it's going to be number 9, Pearson, back to serve, the senior out of Sterling, Virginia, Parkview High School, up in the Northern Virginia area. Actually, I believe it's between Richmond and D.C.
(24-22) now. Cougars able to battle back, still down by 3, but with some good defense here, they can win the second set. Or down by 2, excuse me. My math is a little off. I'm not a math major by any means. And this will be Wesleyan. The light touch. And Averett moves to within 1. 24-23 now. And this will be senior Hannah Shields back to serve for the Cougars.
And of course, Eddie, you got to win by 2 in volleyball. So still set point, but if Averett can get one more, they will force it extra points.
And a ball handling error again by Emily Pearson. Ties the set, 24-24.
4-0
And Cougars are on a 4-0 run. And Cougars take the lead. A 5-0 run now, 25-24 for the Cougars. And Davin, I know we mentioned it, but the Cougars look like they are taking pride in this undefeated set record here, not willing to give it up by any means.
And that one just falls in, 25-25. I think the highest I've ever seen it go here at the Grant Center has been 28. Still got a little ways to go before that, but definitely a possibility with these two powerhouse squads. Officials taking a second to check on some things. I think they want to take a look at substitutions. And we're actually, I believe, it looks like we're going to have a libero switch right there, so that will not count as a substitution. So Hall back to serve. Little bit too much mustard on that one. Ball goes out 26-25.
And Brooke Aaron had the right idea there. Just didn't get the angle that she wanted on that ball.
And the ping pong continues. Eddie, I feel like we're watching Forrest Gump right now. The ping pong is continuing. It is 26-26.
Definitely, and this is Emily Stanley on the serve for the Cougars. Virginia Wesleyan able to keep that one up and in play. This is Marks over to Aaron. Good save there. Shields able to get up under it over to Marks. Marks over to Smoot. Virginia Wesleyan sends it back. And they will go up by one. They take the lead again. It's 27-26. Neither team wanting to give way.
Virginia Wesleyan looking to try to avoid going down 0-2. Averett looking to go up 2-0. Try to end it in the next possible set. One thing I've noticed about Danny Miller, cool as a cucumber down there.
Definitely, as want to make a comparison to head coach David Doino, who on the sideline is not cool as cucumber.
Yeah, David, you see the Italian come through with Coach D.
And this is Marks over to Williams. Williams sends it back through the floor. Another tie ball game.
Eddie, to borrow one of my favorite movie lines from the incredible Danny Glover, I'm getting too old for this.
And we're looking to break a Davin Wilson Grant Center set score. Whoever wins this set is going to have to go up to 29 at the very least.
And like I said, I don't think I've seen any higher than 28. History in the making here, ladies and gentlemen.
Marlins, 1 point lead again, 28-27. Marlins, one more point, and they go up, or they take a 1-1 tie here. Cougars looking for some good defense. Hannah Shields over to Miller. Miller, Smoot, tip-tap action. The Marlins able to get it back under control. That's Stanley over to Miller. And that's Williams to tie the game again, 28-28. And it just does not end.
Eddie, I swear it's ping pong. Blue Cougar trying to get involved over here, trying to make it a hostile environment. Athletic Director Meg Stevens digging it.
Good save by Stanley there. And a ball handling error will send the Marlins up 29-28.
And that is it. That is a new record for me here at the Grant Center, 29-28. Stanley, Miller, over to Shields. Shields comes up with a big smack. And Eddie, I tell you, and point goes to Virginia Wesleyan, and that's going to do it for the second set as the Marlins will take it 30-28. But Eddie, on that last attack from Hannah Shields, I'm sure they could hear that out on Mount Crossroad out here on the Grant Center.
And Devin, all I've got to say is I'm glad I was not at the net playing defense because I love my hands not stinging. But we're going to take a quick 3-minute break here, and we'll be right back here at the Averett Sports Network. And we are back here in the Grant Center, NCAA Division III women's volleyball action. Match tied 1-1. First set. That's your Averett Cougars against the Virginia Wesleyan Marlins. My name is Eddie Glenn. I'm joined here by Lindsay Fulcher.
Thank you, Eddie. Glad to be back. New set here for the Cougars as we're 1-1 for matches today against Virginia Wesleyan.
And it's really been back and forth. Neither team taking a clear lead or clear victory here, able to really build any kind of momentum. Both teams back and forth. I think the biggest lead was 5 points. But team on that losing end battled back. As that last set we were just in went all the way up to 30. So the Wesleyans will return the ball. And it's Marlin's point to open the set. And Lindsay, just to mention again, the Cougars coming into that last set were 13-0 straight match set victories. As there's another point to open it up for the Cougars, 1-1. And Virginia Wesleyan able to come in and really go back and forth with the Cougars tick for tat and take that undefeated title away from them. This is Hannah Shields. Good serve. Marlins able to corral. Hannah Shields over to Marks. Marks over to Dedez. Dedez sends it over the net. Marlins return. Cougars can't corral.
Marlins in the lead 2-1 now, Eddie. I have a feeling the Cougars aren't going to give this one up as well. Fighting hard, it appears they're speaking to each other now. Really getting ready to communicate.
That's Alyssa Taylor for the Marlins on the serve over to Marks. Marks.
Brooke Aaron hits it over, and the Marlins unable to handle that ball.
Lindsay, that is great effort from the Marlins. They battled with that ball almost into the parking lot. The ball just finally got away from them. Score's going to be tied 2-2.
Nice serve from Stanley.
Sorry about that, Lindsay. That's Stanley on a good serve. Nicks the net, but gets down and gets Averett another point. Stanley sends it over. Marlins sends it back. And Smoot couldn't get what she wanted on the touch. Tie match again. We're sitting at 3-3 apiece. And this is going to be Megan Wood serving for the Marlins over to Shields. Shields.
Sarah Smoot with the kill. Strong power behind Smoot's arm there. However, it looked so effortless. We better stick to broadcasting.
You won't see me on the volleyball court at any point in time, Lindsay. This is what I'm talented at, and I'm going to keep doing it. And that's Miller sending it over. And the Marlins really getting lost and they got stuck in the ground and couldn't corral that ball. 5-3 in favor of the Cougars. Miller on the serve. And that's another straight point. Cougars up by 3 now. And this will be a Marlins timeout. And Lindsay, the Cougars really playing good volleyball early in this set. Not giving way at all. Marlins, I think, went up by 2 at one point in time. The Cougars battled back, and now they have a 3-point lead. And one good thing about being at the game, Lindsay, is that we do have an abundance of Chick-fil-A sandwiches that you can go and buy from the concession stands. Thought about going to get one, but there was only a minute. I think I would have been late back to the broadcast if I tried to get a Chick-fil-A sandwich.
I think I could have handled it, Eddie.
Nevertheless, we're here, and we're still hungry. It's going to be Miller on the serve for Averett. Averett again on a 3-0 run.
And the serve is over. Wesleyan handling it, getting it over the net to Miller, and Shields with the hit. No surprise there that Wesleyan unable to handle the power of Hannah Shields.
And Shields really straps on the rocket and unleashes the beast. That's Miller on the serve. Over to Shields. Shields is down to Lindsay. Lindsay over to Williams, and Williams puts it on the court for Averett point. Averett up 8-3. It's a 5-point lead.
Good place for Williams there.
Miller again on the serve. And the Marlins will send it far and out of bounds. 9-3 is the score, and this is the biggest lead of the game in any set. The Cougars are on a 6-0 run when she is serving. The defense there by the Cougars. Marlins send it back. Stanley over to Miller. Miller sends it over. And that's another point. 10-3. A 7-point lead by the Cougars. The biggest of the game. And the Cougars are absolutely on a roll. We are back after taking a very quick water break. And Cougars up 7-3.
Still no chicken sandwiches over here with the broadcasters.
Lynn's going to sign a petition. See if we can get the lights turned off in the gym until we get chicken sandwiches over here. Nevertheless, Marlins break the 7-0 run. Score is 10-4 now. Marlins looking to battle back.
Number 15, Ashley Bologna with the serve over.
Williams. And Williams, one of the more powerful arms on the team, and puts it on the court. 11-4 for the Cougars.
Christiana Suma on the line now for the serve. A little too much power behind it. It goes out. Score now 5-11. Cougars in the lead. We're one-on-one on matches here, Eddie. And Wesleyan returns the same way.
That ball will land out of bounds. Cougars lead 12-5 now. And whatever Coach Miller told the Cougars in the switchover, he needs to tell them after every set because they have been on an absolute tear. Anna Williams, too much power. And some would even say too much sauce. On the serve. Score 12-6. Shields able to corral over to Miller. Miller to Courier. Virginia Wesleyan does a good job of corralling. Good defense. Miller has it over to Shields. Shields. Again, too much sauce on that one as well. 12-7. Miller over to Dedez. Dedez, easy touch. Marlins able to corral. And Miller sends it opposite court, far corner, and the Marlins are not able to get to it. It's a very good touch from Miller. Very accurate as well. This will be Marks. Marks and Aaron onto the court now for the Cougars. Marks back to serve.
And the serve is over. Marlins return it. Marks to Dedez. Aaron to Marks. Aaron gets it over.
Good defense from the Cougars.
As Dedez and Shields block that ball, making the score 14-7. Cougars in the lead as Keenan Marks back up to the line, serving the ball, and it is over. Nice hit from number 3, Donisha Hall for Virginia Wesleyan.
And Aaron had enough power, but the defense was there to able to ricochet it back, and Averett wasn't able to handle it. Shields on the return. She puts it on the court and gets Averett another point. 15-9 for the Cougars. And this will be Sarah Smoot checking in. Shields back to serve. Wesleyan able to corral and return. Stanley over to Marks. Marks to Shields. Shields, easy touch. Marlins get to it and send it out of bounds. (16-9) is the score. And that is a ball handling error. 17-9 now. 8-point lead for the Cougars. Shields on the serve. Able to corral it as well. Marks to Dedez. Dedez sends it over the net. Dedez there on defense. Cougars weren't there to back her up in time. 17-10. As Coach Miller stands up and has a little strategy talk there with Dedez. Maybe a miscommunication. Shields over to Marks. Marks to Aaron. Aaron sends it over the net. Marlins able to handle it well. Ball handling error. 18-10 now. And this will be Stanley back to serve for the Cougars. Marlins really not able to get on any type of roll in this set. As there is another point from the Cougars. Again, another 9-point lead. Stanley back to serve again. But to haul it in is the Marlins. And they stop that run from the Cougars, 19-11. They get a couple goals on, get a couple goals off, keeping them fresh. It's the Marlins. This will be Wood back to serve for Virginia Wesleyan. Shields able to corral over to Marks. Marks over to Aaron. Aaron, light touch. Good defense from the Cougars. Just not able to handle it good enough. 19-12 now as the Marlins look to battle back in this set. Wood on the serve. Shields over to Marks. Marks to Brianna Williams.
And subs here for your Cougars as Miller and Coyer come in. Miller on the serve. The score 12-20 with the Cougars in the lead. And the serve is good. It's a point for your Cougars as it's blocked and is outside.
And the Cougars push their lead back up to 9 points. This is Miller on the serve. Marlins send it back. Cougars, good defense. 10-point lead now. Again, game's biggest lead. Marlins corral, easy touch. Shields able to corral. And Williams almost gets the Cougars another point. Great recovery there from the Marlins. Shields over to Miller. Miller to Smoot. Smoot puts the power behind it. Great defense from the Marlins. 22-13 is your score.
The Cougars fighting hard here, trying to have the big lead, Eddie, so that they don't have to have another close game. And that's another point for Averett.
Pushes that lead back up to 10 points. And the Marlins might be down big in this set, but they're not going down easy. They're not laying down by any means. Suma on the serve. Marlins put the power behind it, send it back. Cougars corral. Shields. Great defense there from the Marlins. 23-14. As this is going to be Amber Metalis on the serve. Coyer, good recovery.
And that is out. Match point here for your Cougars. As Dedez comes in for Stanley. And Williams up at the line to serve. Williams player of the week for a reason as the serve goes over.
That will be a ball handling error, and the Cougars will take that set. Cougars up 2-1 in set score here. Lindsay, we're going to take a brief break, and we'll be right back here at the Grant Center.
So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here to the Grand Center. We've got Sweet Caroline playing from the speakers, and Eddie, it almost makes me feel like I'm back at a baseball game somewhere. Almost like I'm at Fenway Park or something like that. So we are just moments away from the start of the fourth set here. Right now, Averett with a 2-1 lead over the Marlins. It would be Averett's first win against Virginia Wesleyan since 2015. So here we go. We've got number 9, Pearson, back to serve, as she is looking to get things started off on the right foot for the Cougars. So Shields to Marks. Marks over to Dedez. And Averett off to an early 1-0 lead. So good start for the Cougs. Shields back to serve. Shields an absolute monster on both ends of the court. One of the sweetest people you ever hope to meet, though. So Shields gets the ball over, but that will actually not get over, but it will meet the net.
And Davin, me and you called soccer a couple days ago, and in soccer that counts as a point, but in volleyball counts as a point for the wrong team.
That's it. Well, wrong team depending on who you're cheering for. So Smoot, she delivers a rocket, but I tell you one thing, Mackley ready for it. And number 10, Scott, Marks, back over to Aaron. And look at that, Dedez. She just does a little finger roll right there and puts it down.
And Dedez has been all over the place this game. Her and Brianna Williams as well, 2 sophomores really making their presence felt on the defensive and offensive side.
And Eddie, they are, but it looks like we were a little wrong in the original call. The point actually went to the Marlins, so it's 2-1. Mackley back to serve. Averett up 2-1 overall, looking to close things down here in this fourth set. So number 17, Mackley back. And Hoover Erbig, the Marlins coach, just wanted to check up on a few things down here. I think she's asking about her substitutions, or she might be asking about the rotation. Either one of those two. It is, Eddie, it is a little hard. Things get muddled up, and, they have to keep that serving rotation they started with.
And,
so
Gavin, it's always the little things that really hold up a game or really confuse a coach. But nevertheless, Marlins up 3-1 early after going down, or not going down big, but trailing big in the last set by as many as 10 at times. And now they have a 2-point lead. And don't want to get lackadaisical with the lead there. Definitely want to stay disciplined, as that shot had too much power behind it.
As you said earlier, too much sauce, Eddie.
And it's Brianna Williams back onto the court for the Cougars.
So Emily Stanley back to serve. Ball is over, met by Wesleyan's defense. That is number 9, Pearson. Number 10, Scott. And Aaron, a nice play, but she was out of bounds. And so Wesleyan now in front 4-2, as we've got number 1, Alyssa Taylor, coming into the game for the Marlins. She will come back to serve. So gets the ball over Shields to Marks. Marks over to Aaron. Aaron over to Scott. There's the set. And Williams is there with arms wide open. Arms up in the air. Gets it to drop in 4-3. So it's going to be Miller and Taylor into the game for the Cougars. And it's going to be Miller back to serve. Miller, of course, the daughter of head coach Danny Miller. And she's already making her presence felt here at Averett, as she has already picked up USA South and Rookie of the Week honors.
And Davin, she was really an integral piece in the Cougars. They went on a 9-0 run last set, and her serving was an integral part of that. A lot of times when she was serving, they would go back up by 9 and 10 points. So definitely going to see more of her, I can imagine, back there serving for the Cougars.
And so Taylor tips that one over. And Eddie, for the past 3.5 years, or 3 years, it all blurs together. I'd been over here as an assistant sports information director, and, really Miller has always been there by her dad's side. She's always been a part of this team, and, really very familiar with Averett University volleyball, and she should have a successful career. Smoot, Pearson, Scott, and point goes to Averett. And so the Cougars now jump back in front, 5-4.
And that Cougar defense was something to behold. If you're a volleyball fan, they would not let anything back over the net there for a second.
Well, if you look right now, Averett with 3 at the net, then they have Stanley back on that little middle line. Almost similar to the I formation in football, Eddie. And that's going to be an error on the Cougars. 5-5 is now your score. So it's going to be number 8, Wood, coming into the game for the Marlins, and number 4, Dare Wright. I like that name, Eddie, Dare Wright. Wood back to serve. Miller, Taylor, and that's going to be Wood. Ball pushed over. Shields, Miller with it, and Miller, she just kind of finger rolled that one and floated it in there, Eddie, in a good place, 6-5.
And she had a very accurately placed tip-tap action kind of shot earlier, where she went opposite across the court to the far corner, and the Marlins weren't able to get to it. And again, they're putting it in the center of the court where there were no Marlins at all.
And Whitney Wood with the service for the Cougars. The defensive specialist and Abby Taylor getting involved in the action. She picks up her second point of the set, and it is now 7-5 in favor of Averett. Averett looking to close the door on the Marlins here in 4. Wood back to serve again. Wood, Matalas, Stanley, Miller, and a little communication breakdown there by the Marlins. Wood pushes it over. Stanley, Miller, and Shields. Shields gets up and unleashes the Kraken. And it's now 8-5, and in the meantime, Virginia Wesleyan's going to take a timeout. We're going to take it with them here on the Averett Sports Network. Yes. It's born ready. And so Wood back to serve for the Cougars. Wood, the freshman defensive specialist out of Penn Lard, Virginia. Turner Ashby up near the Richmond, Virginia area. So Shields, and Shields says freight train coming to your house. And it's 9-5. Sometimes I would love to have a radar gun, Eddie, just to see the speed of some of Shields' attacks.
I would hate to be on the defensive end, definitely trying to stop that, because it can be a force to reckon with.
I'm sure anybody that comes in path of that is probably going to sport a little bit of a bruise or a sore spot or something.
And that's why I broadcast, Davin. I get to attend a lot of sporting events, and I don't get any bruises.
That's
football
it.
Career is over.
That's it. And we get to eat for free usually. And so 10-6 is now your score. You get to eat for free. You get to watch some good sports in the process. It's a dream come true, Eddie. Dream come true.
Absolutely.
And Williams confuses Mackley, as Mackley thought that one was going out, but easy for Mackley to be confused on that one because Williams sent a major league line drive.
And definitely the Cougars, it was close for a while and definitely not a big spread right now, but Cougars are up by 5 right now, an 11-6 score, and Cougars looking to head home early. And they're up by 2 in the set, one more, and we're done.
We are, and, we always love those quick nights over here. As you can tell, my voice would definitely love the quick night. It's about the third time it's cracked here in the last few minutes. So, you know how it goes, though, Eddie. So I'm normally used to doing these by myself, so I'm very glad to have you and Lindsay join me tonight. Anytime
I could be around someone as cool as you, Davin, I will 100% take it.
Thank you, sir. The feeling goes the same way, bud.
This will be Brianna Williams back to serve for the Cougars. Again, 11-6 in favor of the Cougars.
So Williams back to serve.
And into the net. And that is no bueno for the Cougars.
It is no bueno indeed, Eddie. I like that. I like that. I think you might have found your catchphrase.
Okay, I'll run with it. I will run with it.
And it is now 11-8, excuse me. And Eddie, I couldn't help but to think a little bit right there when I saw 7-Eleven. I was like, I would really love one of their hot dogs right now. Or one of those little taco things they have. I can't. It's almost like a churro.
Definitely is. The Marlins are bouncing back. They're on a 4-0 run. Or 3-0, excuse me. Shields, another rocket.
And nice
Marlins
play
able
there
to corral it. And again, more of the tip-tap action from Shields.
And so we're going to have Keenan Marks come into the game now for the Cougars. With a 12-9 lead, they had it up to as many as 6 a few minutes ago. Marks and Mackley, a nice play. Shields there, Marks over to Shields. Mackley, that is going to be Hall, and Hall is going to beat an outstretched Wood. And Averett's lead now cut to 2. So we've got number 9, Pearson, back in the game for the Marlins. Eddie, Virginia Wesleyan softball team, of course, they won the national championship this year. I was actually up there at the game, the softball tournament in Ashland, working with the local paper around here, and was there to. And Wesleyan will pick up the point as number 10, Christina Scott, drops it in there. But Eddie, really up there, got to, interview Wesleyan's softball coach and their star player. I believe her name is Hannah Hull. And really, Wesleyan was such a tough team to beat this year. They really are good in any sport they're at. They're predominantly on the top of the ODAC, especially in men's basketball. And Eddie, another fun fact, you were talking about men's basketball head coach David Duino. David Duino actually came here from Virginia Wesleyan, or not from Virginia Wesleyan, but he started his coaching career at Virginia Wesleyan, actually won a national championship as a Marlin.
And to tag along with that, head coach David Duino is top 10 all-time scoring at Virginia Wesleyan as a basketball player, so no slouch at all.
Wow, Eddie, I did not know that.
Stanley not able to get under the ball the way she wanted. And it is now a tie game. We're at 12 apiece.
We're looking midway here. We've got number 9, Pearson, back to serve. Pearson to Shields. Shields to Marks. Marks to Shields, and Shields unleashes the Kraken. And it's 13-12. We got a substitution, Smoot, into the game for the Cougars. Shields back to serve. 13-12 is your score.
Almost a miscommunication there from the Marlins, but they're able to get hold of it. Cougars defense not letting anything by. Marks over to Stanley. Stanley to Aaron. Aaron stopped by the Marlins defense, and Shield. Nice rocket. Corralled by the Marlins. Smoot releasing a hard bomber herself. Good back and forth action as Aaron couldn't get a hold of it. Tied at 13 apiece, excuse me there.
13 apiece, and Eddie really wouldn't expect anything less from these two teams. Virginia Wesleyan coming in a little young this year. They only had the 2 seniors. They have 2 seniors and 3 juniors, the rest sophomore and freshman. Marks to Smoot. Smoot gets it over. Nice play there by Matalis. And that's going to be number 10, Scott. And she'll get it to fall in 14-13. And Averett, as we said earlier, looking to get everybody home here this set. Shields to Smoot. Smoot pushes it over. And number 10, Scott. And Scott unleashing some mythical creatures of her own right there. She drops in a point. Makes it 15-13. So Mackley.
And just squeezes it in between the net and that defensive wall of Averett as Aaron getting the Cougars back up on the board again. 15-14, Marlins lead. But, again, she just squeezed that in between the net and that defensive wall. A defensive wall that's been really good for Averett so far in all of the sets. And the Marlins will lead by 1. Stanley back to serve. Stanley sends it over. That's 17. Mackley over to Stanley. Stanley to Marks. Marks to Smoot. Smoot, rocket. And miscommunication on the court from the Cougars. 16-14 now. Virginia Wesleyan. And they are firing on all cylinders right now. And they are playing with a 2-point lead. Marks over to Smoot. Smoot unleashes her signature rocket.
And Smoot has always been such an integral part of this team. So we've got Taylor and Miller back in the game now for the Cougars. Miller back to serve.
And again, as we mentioned earlier, when Miller serves, Averett seems to go on a tear points-wise. So we're going to see if she can keep that up. And the Marlins will get that point. 17-15. They lead by 2 again.
And Eddie, we were talking about it earlier in the game. And, of course, you know, Averett had come in winning all 12 of their sets they played so far. But we said that we would have we had a feeling that win streak would come to an end tonight. And Virginia Wesleyan looking to force the decisive 5th set, the rubber match.
Miller over to Williams. Williams tip-tap doesn't go through. Miller sets it back up. Shields unleashes a long bomb there. Marlins able to recover. Shields sets it up. And Miller to Williams. Williams, a point for Averett. Cougars trail by 1. As this will be Whitney Wood into the game for Sarah Smoot. She's going to go back to serve.
And Eddie, we see Averett University president, her husband Joe Franks, get involved in the action over there as a ball boy. And
Williams sets it up. Miller over to Shields. And great way to recover from, that was Alyssa Taylor receiving that ball from Hannah Shields, something I would not do. I would have to have my coach just yell at me I would not stand on the other end of that.
Or either that or come out dressed like you're going to medieval times or something.
17-17 is the score.
And of course, Virginia Wesleyan with quite a few players that possess the same power, Hall being one of them.
That's Miller to Shields. And Shields getting her team back into it as they take a 1-point lead. 18-17 now. This is Wood on the serve. Marlins almost lose control of it. Stanley over to Miller. Miller to Williams. Williams sends it over. Good defense there from the Marlins. This is going to be Taylor sending it opposite side of the court. Marlins recover. Wood over to Miller. Miller to Shields. And that connection proves fruitful again. 19-17, second straight point from that connection.
And, you know, Miller, she's really proving her mettle here early on in her career.
Stanley over to Miller. Miller to Shields. Shields. Marlins able to corral it that time. Ball ends out of bounds. 20-17, Cougars 3-point lead.
And so we're going to have a substitution. It's going to be Pearson and Scott into the game for the Marlins. 20-17, Averett in front. Wood back to serve. Wood, the defensive specialist, out of in and around the Richmond area. I've never heard of Penn Laird before, or Lard, but I have heard of Turner Ashby. I think everybody in the state of Virginia has heard of Turner Ashby if you're involved in athletics, as they generally have one of the stronger teams in the state. I know the high school I went to, we usually always did battle with them in various state playoff games.
Wood over to Miller. Miller going to send it back to Shields again. Another point, the Miller to Shields connection. (21-18) is the score. Williams serves. Hits the net. Marlins catch it. Miller sends it the opposite way this time over to Taylor. This is Miller to Shields again. Doesn't work that time. Miller going to set back up. And Hannah sends it over. Great way to recover by the Cougars. That was Wood sending it over the net. Little ping pong action here, back and forth by each team. Williams, good dive. The Cougars able to keep it alive. Ball control or ball violation. Ball handling violation, excuse me.
One too many touches, actually, Eddie. Have a limited number of times they can, number of touches before they can get the ball over. And the Cougars, despite doing a great job of getting the rally together, just exceeded the number of times they could touch the ball. 21-19 is now your score. And, Eddie, we were talking about Miller just a second ago as you were talking about the Miller-Shields connection. And point goes to the Cougars there, as that was Pearson picking up, or excuse me, to the Marlins, as that was Pearson. 21-20 is now your score, but coming into this game, Miller had 54 assists.
Wow.
In 4 games.
And she's just a freshman, Devin.
She is. That's an average of just about 14 a set. And ball out, 22-20. So, ladies and gentlemen, Averett just 3 points away from taking this one by a score of 3-1. Keenan Marks back to serve. See what she can get going here. 22-20, as we mentioned earlier, is the score. And that's Mackley, Pearson, Hall. And Hall is going to do what she does best, deliver a kill, as we mentioned earlier. Eddie, going into this already, 40 kills on the season, averaging 10 per match.
Wow.
I mean, 4 games in the season, Eddie. Those are good numbers right there.
Those are fantastic numbers.
And Pearson back to serve. And her serve a little bit too much on it, 23-21. Cougars down to 2 points now.
And Davin, you don't normally see freshmen come in and make that big of a difference on a college team as they have to transition from high school to college, which is a big transition. And Miller doing a great job of really transitioning well. Is this Shields on the serve? Excuse me there.
She is, Eddie, and that comes from her raising and the way that she did things. Coach Miller, he's a very nice guy, very generous man, but he's also very strict. He doesn't cut you a lot of slack. And so Shields, Averett 1 point away from the big win here and a 5-0 record.
And Davin, the crowd, most of them are on their feet. You see the Blue Crew, you see Tiffany and Joe Franks all on their feet, and various other members of the crowd as they can taste victory here. And the Marlins looking to sit them all back down.
They are, and so Shields to Marks, to Dez. Shields,
Marks. To Aaron. When the Marlins recover, send it back over, and that is going to be the Cougars' point. They win by 3. That is the 3rd set victory. Davin, other than the 3rd set, this game in total was really back and forth and really close. And neither team wanted to give way, like I said, other than the 3rd set.
Well, and I wouldn't expect anything less when you had these two teams meet. Both of them perennial powerhouses in their conference, perennial powerhouses really in college volleyball and Division III volleyball. And, it was a well-fought match, just like we knew it would be. And just a great game. And Virginia Wesleyan really showing a lot of potential, a very young team, as we were talking about earlier. 2 seniors, I believe 3 juniors. Young squad, but they've got a lot to build on and a lot to look forward to moving forward with the rest of this season.
Definitely. And, again, like you say, with the addition of freshman Mackenzie Miller really making her presence felt on the offensive side of the ball, serving, setting up Shields and Williams, it's really something to keep an eye on. Sophomores Williams, Dedez showing out, and seniors Hannah Shields doing what she does best, putting the ball on the court of the other side of the net and getting points.
She does, and it's good that you brought up Dedez because she's really had a successful career here so far, and really entering her 2nd season. She plays a lot. She plays very much beyond her sophomore classification, and expecting great things out of her. Of course, you're going to get great things out of Hannah Shields this season. And Mackenzie Miller, and really this whole Averett team, from the number 1 starter to any player on the bench, are really just a talented team. Carries over from that talented season last year, and I think the Cougars are really going to make some noise, come November and December when we're start talking tournament and playoff time.
Absolutely, and if we're talking about win streaks, their set streak is out of the window as they went down in that 14th set. They went down to the Marlins, but they are on a 5-game win streak total with the 4 straight in the tournament and this one tonight. So the Cougars, again, looking to build upon that and have a really great season.
And I think they're well on their way to it. They've got a very experienced team. And really just not experiencing the fact of upperclassmen. Just really, last year so many players saw so much action. And, you had very few players that didn't see considerable playing time last year. And so, when you had that luxury as a coach where you've got a bench that is that deep, that can only help you moving forward. And I think we saw that here tonight.
Definitely, Davin. And we want to congratulate Coach Danny Miller and the Averett Cougars here on a good victory. Congratulate Virginia Wesleyan on good back-and-forth action. it might show 3-1, but they did not give up at any point in time. And Davin, it's been good being able to call my first volleyball game here with you.
Yes, sir, and you did a good job. And, we'd be a little remiss to not bring up the fact Averett actually returns to action on Saturday when it travels to Fredericksburg, Virginia, to play 4 matches in 2 days at the University of Mary Washington tournament. The Cougars actually kick off the weekend on Friday against Johns Hopkins University. The serve is set for 5 p.m. Eddie, when I saw that on the schedule, I couldn't help but laugh a little bit because I heard John Hopkins and I remembered Step Brothers. Do you remember that movie with Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly?
I definitely do.
Yeah, and Will Ferrell. But anyway, we just got some stats hot off the press here, and we will actually go down with a run through of those to close things down. First, we're going to take a look here at Virginia Wesleyan. They were led by Christina Scott offensively, who had 17 kills on 35 total attacks. Also, she picked up 1 dig. Donisha Hall had a unusually slow night as the Cougars were able to slow her down. Only limited to 6 kills all night. And she came in leading this Marlins offense with those kills. And then also Emily Pearson, 21 assists, Eddie. And then Megan Wood with 13 as well. Defensively, for the Marlins, they were led by Matalis and Pearson, each with 12 digs. Also, I missed this down here. Eddie, Allison Mackley, 20 digs on the evening. What a defensive performance by her. And we're going to take now we'll wind things down with the Cougars, with your Cougars. Hannah Shields, 18 kills on the night. She continues her dominance. Brianna Williams also continues her torrid start to the season. 13 kills, and you have Sarah Smoot with 9. We're going to take a look here at assists. Keenan Marks, 24. No surprise there. She led the Cougars in assists last season. But the mark here that stands out to me, Eddie, 23 assists on the evening. 23, Eddie. That is an average of over 5 a set. And then she also she recorded a double-double, too. She picked up 12 digs. Emily Stanley had 16 digs to pace the Cougars, and then Hannah Shields with 14. So, well, Eddie, I think that's going to wrap it up here for us tonight at this game. Thank you for joining us here on the Averett Sports Network, and make sure to keep it locked here as we have an exciting weekend on hand. Football opens up its home schedule with the game against Randolph-Macon, kickoff 6 p.m. Men's soccer also opens up their home slate on Friday, so we're going to be busy over here this weekend.
We definitely will, and I plan to be at both of those games. So if you enjoy hearing my voice, tune into those games, as I'll be right on your TV or your computer or wherever you pull it up, because we're accessible everywhere.
Yes, sir, we are. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us here on the Averett Sports Network. Hope you have a great night. For Eddie Glenn and Davin Wilson, we'd like to say good night.